Okay. It's working. This does not seem... That's not working here. Looks like my microphone is working fine, but either my ears are broken. Oh, I've got the tab muted. Wow, 5 months. 1 line, thank you. Oh, there we go. That's why, because it's not doing that. It pleases me so much you've now started to use Mongo with fields rather than JSON blob storage. Grumpy, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in. How's things? I know you probably have to rush off while you end the stream. Ready to run for adulting. Yep, no worries. Have a great one. All is well. Morning, daughter. Oh. Okay. No. There's someone else in the house. Go see them. Go. Also start a stream and the dog's like, hey, I want attention now, please. You've only been up since 4 o'clock giving attention. Oh dear. Okay. So yeah, not entirely by choice. But yeah. I'll be right back, otherwise that dog's not gonna stop. Sorry about that. Yeah, I would happily get up at 5 a.m. on my own, but 4 a.m. not entirely of free will. So that's good coffee today. Okay, so we go return to changes. So the way changes works is changes compares the last event it saw for that entity and publishes out a diff or the individual changes. The pipelines is going to enrich those changes. So it's going to pull this, it's got this planning item data, it's got the user data. It's going to enrich the data and publish out a better form of that data. Right? So That's what all yesterday was for. So we published the enhanced change. I'm sure that at some point in the future, a way of doing this in a cleaner or more efficient way is going to appear to me. But for right now, this system can know everything. I don't have to add data into other systems that they don't need. The changes doesn't have to be bogged down by gathering the data at the same time, and I still retain context. So the challenge is that I now have to run a few more services to get everything up and running, right? So these go in there, these go in there. So I end up with a few more jobs. So we end up with pipeline changes. That's not add value. Why is that one? That is changes infrastructure receivers. Right there. And then pipeline data receivers. So again, because the system can be out of sync, I have to align the data coming through the system. So that's going to be a challenge. Changes infrastructure receivers. Have I got changes infrastructure receivers, change infrastructure? Okay, so I've got that twice for some reason. Changes consumers is there. I mean, they're all, so again, I'm trying to differentiate between Service Bus and Kafka to make sure that I don't overlap. That's why I'm referring to them as the consumers and receivers. So on that topic, I probably should benefit from receivers. So that's that one. That's that one. That's that one. That's that one. They're all genuinely consumers. Nope. Can I avoid the I'm just testing here what happens. Yeah, see, that doesn't give me any context. I'm just playing around with the naming here just to see what helps me. Because at a glance, I'm going to want to understand what's running. And that's the challenge with everything running as is. This is going to get ever more difficult. So that's going to be consumers. I don't need to specify service bus there now because by default, my standard is that. Okay, I'm feeling that. That works. Nice. Just broke everything. Consumers view, consumers ticket. Oh, tickets doesn't need to be in there yet. Consumers communications, receivers view, receivers notifications, receivers pipeline changes, pipeline data, receivers changes. It started. That up immediately. Okay. That's going to be fun. Let's see if it all starts now. So one line, I know you started the stream with the resub, but I want to say thank you very much again. I don't know if I did say thank you. I do appreciate the support. Dota. Wow, 11 months. Thank you very much. Did you wait for that one? Yeah, sometimes you don't want to. I know you don't want to. It's not something you always want to call out, right? But I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. No, thank you for streaming. I do love the fact that update. At Ethereum didn't charge my card if it never showed up. I think it doesn't work like that anymore. No, Twitch will take the money. Okay, so we now have all 11 services started. Let's go over here and start the UI. Let's go and create our topic actually before I go and remember. So I defined a new topic for the detail. So we go and create a topic. That is going to be liquid sky changes detail. I'm starting to think I could probably drop the liquid sky part. It might, again, the same reason I don't name my projects. So obviously, I don't have the product name in the project name. I have this snake case, or kebab case naming style to the projects. That's because they don't. I mean, even here they don't. It doesn't benefit from the word attachments in front of it. If I folded it underneath properly, I could just call this application, domain, infrastructure, etc. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you name there, right? What you name the project does not matter. It just happens to align in the namespace and stuff you can control. But I don't like the whole. I'm not going to share these libraries, right? This is not going to cross products. If it was, I could do more. But there's no benefit in having Liquid Sky right down the line, especially now we're at 74. So even here, Liquid Sky is probably redundant. Apex, thank you very much for the gift sub again. You were just on a run of this recently. I appreciate it. Thank you, and two nerdy nerds as well. Thank you, much appreciated. Okay, so let's see how much of this was. So what we're looking for is to make a change to the assigned user, and changes. We're going to get rid of planning item change, I think. Changes. What did I just do? Changes will publish, and then we should see enhanced changes, sorry, contain the actual names and the emails. That just completely break Kafka. I might have just completely bought Kafka. I hope not. That brought like no. How did that bring the? I think that might have been an underlying problem. I think that might be because I've linked it to my directory structure. Interesting. I do not want to be doing a services down. Let's bring everything down and start it up again. I think. What's what I'm looking to see is if Kafka won't start now, in which case I have to wipe out the directory structure. I just wanted to remove an unnecessary topic. It could be because I have the directory structure in here, right? It could be that it failed to rename. Actually, let me get some Kafka here. No, read write. I gave him 4 read write. I don't think anything else uses storage right this second, so maybe KSQLDB would. But it should be fine. They'll use the broker. But they're both read write, so Docker has all the permissions it needs. I don't think you need to specify that. I don't. I should learn that one. Okay, so let's see if I can start this all back up again. Also, services. Oh, it'll start everything there. So that's just a PowerShell script that takes the services.env file to use as variables, passes it into each Docker compose so that this data directory is available, and then runs all the Docker composes in the folders. And what we hope to see is that this comes back up, recovering. I don't think it's in good state. Yeah, error shutdown because all loggers have failed. I think we have to wipe it out, start again. That wouldn't be a problem in a deployed Kafka, right? Because we wouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. So I should be able to just shut down Kafka. What we're going to do is just delete out that data directory entirely for Kafka. Then up Kafka. It should recreate all that and then run fine. Because now it's fresh. There you go. Come on. I need to look into. Hey, Phil Snammel, how you doing? I need to look into stabilizing the Kafka startup because sometimes the broker starts, sometimes the broker doesn't. I also need to figure out what version Confluent Kafka community version. They might have been up. They might have upgraded to 8. I don't want to be so far behind. The problem with running Docker containers, I don't think about the actual. Yeah, 7.7. KRAF, mode enhancements, resilience, Kafka streams improvements. Let's have a look. So I'm just looking over here. Community license. So let's do this. Well, before I actually start installing things again. Dot services down, Kafka. So yeah, this runs Docker Compose underneath and calls the compose file with the end file provided. So you've got the variables available to you. Right now, I only use it for the data directory, but it could be used for other things. Okay, that's down. So let's go and look at the Docker Compose. Does this give me any? No. That'd be awesome if it did. I'm pretty sure Visual Studio Code might. So let's have a look at that in Visual Studio Code. Copy path. Visual Studio Code probably needs an update. Folder. Let's see. Community license. It's like if you're going to use Kafka, you can actually use the majority of it under the community license. It's like you wouldn't want to self-host Kafka all the time. To get the resilience, it's going to cost you a fortune. So if you actually are going to go into production with it, but you can actually see. I think what was lacking for us in community are topic balancing and things like that. Yeah, I wouldn't honestly with Kafka, I wouldn't want to go into production with a community license. I know it can be expensive, but I mean these days as well, Kafka Confluent Cloud is a good option. Costs a bit, but it can actually they actually work with you pretty well as well, from my experience. What I'm looking for is uh, CP all-in-one. There we go. CP all-in-one community. Docker Compose. Oh, still in 7.5. Interesting. Yeah, never. I wouldn't do it. We had a company, the company I work for, they did want to host their own Confluent, the Kafka cluster, and then when they realized that they couldn't do it for free, that they needed to buy the licensing and stuff because of balancing and whatnot, um, it would cost an absolute fortune. Azure has event hubs. Are event hubs as scalable as Is that an equivalent to Kafka? Right. Gotcha. So they build on top of Kafka. Okay. Um, Docker Hub. I hate that they still have Zookeeper. $770. Okay, so they do have updates, yeah. 770, 770. If I'm gonna do this, I might as well get the most out of it, right? Can I do that? Well, if I spell it right. Use the even terms like Kafka stuff. Yeah. Confluent Cloud was actually pretty solid. I think Microsoft gives guidelines on how much scale you need before switching from queues to Kafka. The challenge there is if you actually there's I would imagine, unless it's very, very thin abstraction, that once you've built that, it's not exactly easy to switch out from it. Let's close that down. Visuals, your code didn't give me any benefits there. In Microsoft, I think you'd want to wrap the Kafka Cube Microsoft solution with a class if you do it that way. It's switchable. Mm. It's something like Kafka kind of bleeds up into everything. So I don't know if it is necessarily. Oh, not found. Is it just that one? Or is it everything? Let's find out. KCLDB examples. Oh, I don't want that. Let's find out. Confluence demos. Kafka Connect data gen. I'm not looking to use Kafka Connect, so it might not be too bad. Yeah, updated 5 months ago. That one. 760. 6.4. I'll do some more research later on once I get this working. That's interesting. It resolves them all and then just fails if it pulls. Yeah. I'm not sure the exact definition of a queue, but I felt like Kafka topics work a bit different. Yes, they do. So Kafka, if you're running a single partition, Kafka topics are pretty much a queue because they guarantee in a single partition that it's basically FIFO, right? They guarantee the ordering and they guarantee um, the yeah the balancing, but um, well, they kind of are a queue per consumer, right? So if you're in this consumer group, yeah, you can join multiple copies into the same consumer group, and then you won't see it. So if you had um how about it? Like my thing, right? I have different consumers. I have the changes, I have the view. They're all different consumer groups, so they can get the same messages. Um, but to each one they're a queue, especially with being I'm using single partition. Multi-partition, you don't get you don't necessarily get that queue-like behavior because it's round robining the actual partitions. Yeah. So I'm just choosing to do this now because I might as well upgrade. I thought about this the other day that I need to get on the latest version of Kafka. Yes, it does affect the design. Partition planning your partitions and planning your topics is a component of preparing for using Kafka effectively. Um, you can't just drop it in because you can't change it. Your partitions are set once you build things. This way you have one-to-one consumer to queue, you could consider just using a queue. Yes. If you're not trying to partition that data out, yes. Hey Real Sky Ninja, how you doing? Good day. Not bad. Yeah, as long as scale allows kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you really do have to consider what's your partition strategy, um, even your keys. So you can actually align keys to partitions. So I could actually align if I put the region on a partition key. So I put the region the tenants in slash tenant slash identifier to make a unique key. I could actually say, okay, well, these three partitions get these like US. These three partitions get Europe. You in theory, so partitioning is definitely a strategy you want to consider. Right now, I've not really gone too deep into that. Another feature queues like SQS supports is leasing an item, and then it returns it to the queue if you haven't processed it. However, you can still process other items so the order is not fixed. Gotcha. You consume an order always and can't return an item. Well, you can't. You can commit. So as long as you don't commit, that item's still there. So if your consumer fails, it won't have consumed that message. Um, yeah, there's no like um on the yes, you might. So you've got to make sure you commit. Yeah. So in my library stuff right now, it basically dispatches to the receiver once it gets a message, and if that receiver completes, it commits. So it is slowed by that. So I don't get high throughput per consumer because I'm basically blocking until I get the next one. So for any group, it's just going to hold up. Okay, so that's started now. So to everything else, it should be. Is that working? Yeah, it is. Okay. So this is going to be the repetitive part. Hold on. I got through a bit of it, got frustrated. It's the internals of Docker, etc. How can I do this? Um, script out topic creation. Can I do this? Because you can actually use. Yeah. Oh well. Do it this way. Grid sky. Tenants. This is going to get repetitive quick. There is a command line tool within Kafka. It'd just be nice to know if there's an API I can use. That'd be awesome. See if I remember that one. Jets. And again, I'm creating everything with a single partition right now because I don't need the throughput. I don't need to be messing around. I'm not scaling the brokers. I'm not getting any benefits from doing anything like that. So dot detail. Okay, so there's our topics. I think if you want to use Confluent Cloud, you can actually use it up to like 10 topics or 10. There's actually a free tier that is usable for testing. Okay, so let's start this up. He says confidence is nothing about that. There you go. Build. UI is running. Run. No. Really? Failed to get configuration from console status not found. Beg to differ. Unless I didn't start console before. Console reset. That'll be why. But I'll come back. So let's stop them. I don't know why that did that. Try that again. So the goal of all this is to be able to log into the application and see. Hey, hello, Frosty. How you doing? Yes, you do. Log into the application and see the actual changes with the details so that I don't actually have to do okay, so everything started there. So sign in. I always forget this email address. That's fine. Continue without passkeys. Okay. So that should be loading. Is that failing? That is failing. 404. 7285 GraphQL. Do I not have? So that's in here. Oh, that got wiped out as well. So when you start the application up, let's see how good this is. When you start the application up, it will try and read from Ocelot. If it reads, if it tries to, so Ocelot is the API gateway. When the API gateway starts up, it'll read console for its configuration. And when it doesn't have it, it'll create a default version, but it's not what I want, right? I want a specific set of routes in there. So let's see if that actually changes, if that fixes that on the fly. And it does. There you go. So we're going here. We should get a load. There you go. Okay, so test number 1. Will it work first time? I highly doubt that. Well, let's find out. So when I change this user to Andrew, that green box tells me that it at least made it to the server and confirmed that it's saved. So at the very least, the system now says Andrew at the planning item level. Let's see if the rest of the changes make it through there. So we got planning item, right? So that said, assigned user chain, assigned user. We get a change. So that said, so changes details isn't going to do anything because it's an add. Right, so that's not going to do anything because we don't have changes detail for ads yet. So I need to change that once more. And this is why the ETL tool's needed. So the ETL tool will allow me to populate data. And whether I build my own or whether I find an actual off-the-shelf solution is still not set in my mind. But that tool should allow me to say, okay, well, create all this data in these systems so that if I have to recreate things, I don't get this problem where I'm like, is it broken or am I not doing something right? And I have to go in and dig in and change everything. So we're going to stay on simple planning item. We're going to change that now to Helen. Right. So we see the green box, which I need to put a timer on. We go back here. We should eventually see there's the planning item. So that means that the planning item has made it into the planning item API. It said, okay, this has changed. The integration fires. So we've published the integration. Now we've calculated the changes. So now this change event, yeah, there's the assigned user change. So this should get picked up by a new piece, and this should do its job. And I'm not even going to try debugging it the first time. It's not that I'm arrogant, I'm just being lazy. But is there a subscriber to that? So pipelines integrations? Yeah, pipelines integrations is not subscribing to notifications to changes. That's a problem. So in pipelines, this change receiver, by the fact that I'm subscribing to change event, add Kafka, I've not added a receiver. So we go to pipeline changes. We stop that one running. We need to do services.add transient changes receiver. And then figure the add receive event receiver changes receiver. Right. So the problem was it wasn't subscribing to that topic because I didn't tell it that it needed to start that consumer. So then let's go back to here. Then we go to receivers. Start that one up. There we go. Unable to resolve iSender. Pants. Pipeline changes. Let's stop that. I bet you because there. Services that add mediator. That should be the dependency injection, but yeah, mediator extensions. So let's start that one up again. I mean, I'm not expecting it to work first time. There was a whole lot of code written yesterday that we did not do any testing of. I, of course, mean. Okay, so now pipeline changes is subscribed to changes. So what will happen here is it will come in here. And it looks like it missed over that message because it goes to its earliest. So rather than try and reset it and play around with that, I'm going to change it once more. We'll change that to John, right? Which will publish a change event. It should get here shortly. So we have 3. So the planning item published again. That's fine. Eventually we get a change. There we go. There's our change. Right. And then we should hit a breakpoint. Hold on. Why did the consumer group go away? What? It was there. It was listening. It's been consumed. Hey Mojo, good morning. I'm not going crazy. It was there. Okay. We've got the messages. We can now just focus on that one piece. So rather than doing that full stack stuff every time, we can just keep reprocessing the messages until we hit. There we go. So there's the ad. There's the first message in the queue, right? That will go into the process addition, which is just going to return, yeah, I'm good. Right. Then we should get here. There can be a delay. You don't always get the yeah, lag 2. Right, so it's done 1. It's got 2 to go. Let's just restart that. I do feel debugging Kafka can sometimes be a little bit blur because it's there we go. We've got an update. It's I don't know whether it cancels some timings in it or it times out something. But yeah. Okay, so it should get in there. Oh, not. Pipeline changes lag 1. So it does know there's 1 to process still. It's not processed it yet. Yeah. Lag 1. Come on. So ultimately, this is something I want to um, metricize, monitor. I'd want to put in some statements for tracking. Okay, I've received a message. I'm going to process this message, etc. And from a logging perspective, that would be very useful to trace the system through. I could watch event IDs. In this case, I actually do. When I republish this, I actually publish it with the source event ID. So I can track a change detail to a change directly. This happens from time to time. I need to figure this out. Rebalancing? What are you doing? It's not. No, it's not. It says empty. It thinks it's done. Let's go back and reset it. I do honestly believe this is a direct side effect of running Kafka in development. I don't think, from what I've seen in production, this is not like sometimes it can lag when it first starts. Like it might take a minute to actually start processing sometimes. But I think that's all configurable, and I think it's just becoming better at Kafka configuration rather than an actual problem with the platform. So again, what I'm looking for is that to be hit. So we're going to process that addition. That should go through. Right. Changes receiver. Process update. Yep, it's all wired up. Pipeline changes. That's the change receiver. Just making sure I'm not going crazy. Why are you taking so long? User change resolver, planning item processor. Add one grad Kafka. Yeah. That's the generated file for that. Like it's just not receiving it. It knows it's there. It knows it's listening. Hold on. Did I? No, this is all good. So you can configure Kafka where it auto resets to. So this is the offset reset. So basically, you can say, okay, when I bring this consumer online, I'm only going to start processing messages from the from the moment I'd bring it online, so only future messages I should process versus past. That's useful when you've changed the schema of messages, so you're bringing it back up. When you're developing, earliest probably works because it means you can actually consume everything that's come before, given the time period. Why is this not consuming? Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stop that. We're going to go to full stack. We're going to run full stack again. We're going to see if we can get it to do it in live, like just in process, and see. I wish this ordered in the way. Oh, it probably does actually. Yeah, it does. It orders them from bottom to top. So these are the orders. Okay. So if I go in here, I change this back to Andrew. That goes through. What I don't want to see is that disappear. So we got a planning item. We should now get a change in a short while. There you go. There's our change. Lag 4, lag 1. Just don't want to receive that message, do you? So the notifications dealt with it, right? Notifications did fine with it. It won't notify me. Just FYI, we use Kafka as the backbone for our real-time distribution of user events from web pages. So we put everything in a big topic, we then consume and split into many other topics. Finally, we had a component that consumed these topics and distribute the transformed events into various sinks. They can be slow or fail. Everything went through the changes, okay, and split into many other topics. How did you split into many other topics? Using streams or created your own processor to do that and published it out again? Component that consume these topics and distribute the transformed events into various things. Yeah. This is weird. I've got to be missing something here, right? Because we saw the breakpoint hit before, right? We saw this happen. So I know this is wired up. Why are you that? Stranhorn, good morning. How are you doing, sir? Lag 4. Okay. Really? Fly in my face. Okay, we'll go back to this one. So everything else is working fine, but pipeline changes is not. LS pipeline changes. Localhost 909.2.8.500. Nothing's weird about this setup. Add Kafka, add MongoDB. We had a generic component that was configured with a routing config that consumed topics, then transformed it into another topic using homegrown JSLT. Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, Kafka streams is kind of meant to do that as well. I think actually consuming topics and then publishing them out is oh no. Better now. We had a 4-hour outage yesterday because Azure updated some settings and Pulumi did not have them and reset them. They were the settings to let Azure talk with other Azure services. Thanks for the event. Oh my goodness me. Uh, the, this is the challenge we have with software development. We have the dependencies we build just to build cool software. Oh, and the back end got stuck. We had to open a support ticket to get it fixed. Ugh. That's a rough day, and it's not. It's you chasing down other people doing stuff. Why are you not running anything? Why? I'm missing something here. Like, what am I doing wrong? Um, let's have a look at notifications. So the notifications receiver has add Kafka. In here, we add an event receiver. We add a transient version of it, the registry. All this is the same. Oh, tell me I didn't add basic worker service. Nope, basic worker service is there. So basic worker service is basically a job that starts up and runs when and it registers itself as a hosted service and just loops through the Kafka things. Yeah, they should have told us they should have a check in place for that. So they admitted it was their problem. Yeah, that's a rough day to have that amount of work to do because someone else. But again, we don't really have much of a. Okay, so that's all it's saying. Database isn't going to affect it. Service bus isn't going to affect it. Mediator is not going to affect it. That's all the same. About ads. No module. It's front end only check since Pulum uses APIs. It was not checked. I was wow, really is yeah. Oh, was it something they emailed you all about? Last year they updated Key Vault to TLS 1.2 only, and well, we never saw the emails, and now the Key Vault was inaccessible. It would not have been a problem if we kept everything up to anything up to date. But I mean, it's a realistic. I mean, TLS 1.2 stuff. I mean, they expect that people using the services are. Sorry, you and Mojo have the same core text, so I didn't catch that first. Um, they expect people using those sorts of services to be um, uh, on top of those things because you just kind of need to be. Come on, I just want to run past. I want to get past this piece. I don't know how to figure this out right this second. So I'm not even hitting this breakpoint anymore, or this breakpoint. I don't know why because I've got the lag. It sounds like some sort of horrible affliction. Um, partition one partition topics consumer groups state empty update offsets. See, that shouldn't let me do that. It's running. So something's not right there. Okay. Why did you not hit here? This is not going to be a good day for me, is it? So we got now lag 2. Let's run it again, see if it hits that breakpoint. Like, okay, so sender is a mediator. We have an event ID, we have entity type, we have identifier, source user identifier, occurred on, and changes. So that should select a new dictionary of tuples. So that could potentially go wrong. Services, receiver. Nope, that works fine. So that processed that. But it didn't send the command. Is this because I service provider isn't available? Because it not resolve this? That would be bad. Let's verify that part. Yes, I realize that that's a major component of what I'm going to do, but I'd rather validate that first. So if it fails to construct the object, if it fails to construct the handler, then it can't send a message. And that is not it. Well, it's not it as far as I stuff like this really winds me up because it's the stuff that you can't account for. Either it's a silly mistake on my part or it's, just something I'm overlooking. Both silly mistakes on my part. Or there's something going wrong, but it's not telling me what's going wrong. It's just not working. And you lose so much time to this stuff. And it's completely, to anybody outside of software development, this just looks like wasted time. And there's not really a quick fix, right? I don't want to hack it together. And this is oftentimes when you're going to hack things together because you're trying to rush to get something done. You're trying to rush to get something fixed. So you just try and throw everything at it. So what I'm going to try and figure out here is, am I doing something too complicated here? am I? Because mediator's not throwing up any exceptions. I don't know any other way. I don't know any way of attaching extra logging to mediator. So all the logging in the world is not going to do anything for me here. Debugging is telling me that it is hitting this breakpoint. However, it's not doing something. Now, the reason I've got the service provider injected is because I need to go and load this type, which I have registered. Event publisher is part of Kafka abstraction, so that is handled by me adding Kafka. Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe event publisher's not. Actually, that's the problem. Hold on. Do I have any configuration that I need for? That's the problem. Did not configure the publishing side of Kafka. I publish I'm dealing with the consumer side, but not the. Okay. I need to be more patient. I need to watch the bottom of the screen. And this takes host context configuration. We now need. So this is the. Oh no. Use Mongo DB outbox, I think, is my method. This is called the wrong package. This service uses Mongo as its backing store, so we need the Mongo version of the outbox. Our database name is. I need to be careful here because I actually have an outbox database. Probably going to have to think about some naming conventions there. Changes to outbox. We need to do Kafka.outbox. This is going to be changes uses. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Configuration, ACA. Infrastructure. No, notifications uses it, right? No, changes uses. Where do I get the outbox from? Changes receivers. Did I? Oh, I didn't move it over yet. That's why. So I just use it. I use it. The connection string changes. Okay, so that's all that is. Okay. So that's just so I don't have to duplicate that. There's no benefit in duplicating the connection string for the sake of, like, if there were different permissions, then yeah, maybe. But we'll do that for right a second. So we take the pipeline and we create changes outbox as a collection. This is the problem. iEvent publisher isn't registered, but that is interesting. It doesn't tell me iEvent publisher is not registered. So it's not trying to resolve that. Because it's one of the few cases where I'm actually a receiver and a publisher to Kafka. Okay, let's see if that changes any behavior there. Well, that changes something, doesn't it? Can I access the depot? Not what I wanted to see there. Why would that be? Did that process it and then try and no? Uh, can't delete these collections. Not through. That's worrying. You're not publishing anything though. We need to move that one. We don't need SQL Server outbots in the in this one, so just making sure they're removed so we don't end up with an overlap, which could be causing the problem. Nope, that's not a problem. Violet Rick, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. What's publisher? So this is an unusual service. I'll grant that. So although I've done it plenty. So the only difference is in this one that goes later on. So what this does is we had the Kafka configuration. This tells it it's going to get its configuration for its topics from console. So we're going to post that in the key value store, so we don't actually have to define it per service. We're going to add a consumer, a dispatching consumer. So for each one of these, it's going to start a consumer up and run that. So it's constantly monitoring for that topic. And then as it gets it, it will dispatch it to that receiver, which is why I call these receivers and not consumers, because I've actually managed consumer behind the scenes so that Kafka's abstracted at this point. You get the actual type. We then had the outbots publisher, so the event publisher is replaced with an outbots version of it, so that any message published is stored in an outbots, so that we don't lose that if Kafka's not there or whatever, or if this service is, it's going to have resilience there. And then we add a background service which watches for that outbots every 10 seconds. And if it fails, it will back off up to a maximum of 3 minutes, and then it will give it 3 minutes before retries of that same message. It'll try indefinitely though, so that's something that we want to probably configure eventually. Danger with not retrying indefinitely is if you get messages that are out of sequence and you allow it to skip over, you could end up with some bad data. And then the basic worker service, probably not the best name, but this is basically for the consumers. This is just a basic service that just starts up and adds as a hosted service and runs these consumers. So that's the only difference in how I set it up, but I don't think that's the cause. What am I doing wrong here? MongoDB outbots. Is it something to do with the lesson learned? It doesn't like periods in the name for the thing. Okay, so let's stop that again. Let's go back over here. We're going to reset the lag. We're not gonna change that to. I gotta wait for it. So now it's registered and everything. You gotta wait for this to If you're new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to ask. I'm happy to talk about the software. I do not have to do the coding. I'm happy to share what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I'm happy to accept opinions. I reserve the right to reject opinions. um, but this system, I'm building an application for. There we go. That's done. Okay. So now we start that up again. I'm building an application, a project management application, essentially, with the aim of starting with the planning aspect and moving towards eventually Kanban boards. Hey, we got in there finally. We finally hit our breakpoint. 1 hour later. Okay, so we get a processor. It gives us our actual processor. We get enhanced change details. So we get our source user. So it gives us our email and our name of our source user. It gives us our changes. Oh, signed user identifier. Either way, just to see that run. Okay, so it didn't fail, but it didn't work. So that was the first time that had ever run. By the way, I didn't test anything after the stream yesterday. So the fact that it even ran and did something without falling on its bum um, is pretty cool. The problem is it decided that this didn't matter. This change resolver didn't matter. So we're gonna have to figure that out in a second. Let's go and check that change topic out. So it should have published to change detail, and it didn't do. It should have published a message into here, expanding that detail, and it didn't do that. So that's failing number 2. Publish async. The key, I left it as the original entity key. Good or bad, I don't know. We're gonna have to do a review of keys at some point before I go to any sort of further detail here. New detail change event. So did that error? Let's run again. We get the next message. Okay, so we get there. There's our resolvers. So our resolvers look like this. Key assigned user identifier. Okay. Assigned user identifier. Okay. Gets our resolver. We go into our resolver. Before. Oh. Okay. Okay. So our code logic here is wrong. So it doesn't, just because it's stored as an object doesn't mean it comes out as a GUID. It's a string. So what we want to do here is if, so we have GUID user before. Pass before out GUID before. That's because that's if not, return null. What do I like about that? Oh, if what do I want to do here? I'm thinking I don't want to be too defensive. I want to make some assumptions. So the problem is it's not, it doesn't like that, right? That's, yeah. And not GUID.try pass string after out GUID user after. Yeah, of course I want that to be an all. Let's go with that for now. It's not really harmful. So again, all I'm trying to do here is enrich the data to be able to publish more information. We should have one more message to process. There's our resolver. Hold on, changes. No, that errored. That errored totally. Unable to cast object to type JSON element as string. So even though underneath it's a string, and it's deserialized. We'll go back to that in a second. Okay. Resolve. So on our user change resolver, the problem is this is actually a JSON element. So let's test if the other one works. If before is string, before after is string, after is identifier. I'm setting it back to 1 because 0 was the add, and I don't want to deal with the add right now. So this would be that. This would be that. That is an and. We want both of them to be strings. Value kind string. Ugh. Okay. Why is it not? Change details. So in here, change details. So this value. That's interesting. Because it's being kept as an object. So it's just deserializing it as an object because change event is just an array of differences which are before and after. So it doesn't really care. So even though this topic, if we look at the changes here, this shows it as being a GUID or being a string, it's still pulling it out as a JSON element. So where would we want to convert that? And can we just convert JSON element to C#? We don't know what the type is. Does anyone know what I'm trying to do? Anyone done this before? So I've got value type string and a value for that value type. I need to convert the value to its .NET equivalent, not to its CLR type, without knowing. I don't want to write it seems like a problem that should be easy to solve. Convert value type JSON value type to C# equivalent. .NET equivalent, technically, but I don't want to write a parser. It's also such as value just rotation only. You can do get value, which passes and inspects its value count. Right? Don't make me do a switch statement. Oh, I don't want to write a bunch of code for this. So what I don't want to do is basically in my resolver, I don't want to be talking about JSON in here. I want to be dealing with the value. Now I know, because I know that it's going to be a JSON. It's perfectly fine at the right layer, right? But ideally, what I want to do is this should be these should be converted values, right? Because right now, what this is a value type string, which is a JSON element of value type string, right? So this is JSON element. I do not want to pass that down and deal with that. I want to be able to pass a string or an int or whatever in, so that by the time I get to my resolver, I'm just dealing with value. But it looks like it's quite interesting the fact I did it that way, and then just go break them up. So it aids in readability a bit there. So before and after there, come in as their JSON deserialized types because they are object underneath, so it doesn't actually give it any definition. I don't want to start storing schema or, well, I definitely don't want to store schema yet. I suppose this is why structures exist to do this. The JSON element to equivalent dot CLR type. How to write custom converters for JSON serialization. I don't want to. It seems like it should be a solved problem though. And the fact that it might not be suggests that I'm doing something wrong. Sorry. Converting JSON to C# objects. Yeah, I get that. I don't have that information though. Nope. It's a simple use case. But again, I know the type there. I don't know the type. So what I'd have to do here would be well, let's write it. This will probably live in shared eventually, but let's do it here at this level. Public, actually, static JSON element extensions with static object convert this object if hey Manatonics, how you doing? Element is JSON element. Element if JSON element dot value kind. Oh no. Return value kind switch. See, the problem is like um, element. Yeah, good to hear it. Oh, before I forget, don't forget today is Friday, which means that we have Community Day on One Line Stream. JSON element. Bye. Get string Friday. So on Fridays, like this number equals JSON element dot to get int 32. That's a problem. Can I just do JSON element dot get value? Get. Just want an object. That's mail method. That would not be good. They don't have. Let's do that. No, that is true. If element is null, return null. Actually, no, that'll handle it. If it's null, it won't be that. It will be that. It'll return itself. Okay, so the idea here is we do dot convert dot convert. The problem there is that the changes here in the, not the default change event, in here, details, this has to be nullable objects now, which is okay. I'll be honest, I do not like this. I do not feel this is a good path. I did not realize how difficult this would actually be. Oh, I know I can do it. No, it's still past the element down. I know I can do it though, and I have to accept that it's going to be JSON. I know at this point, I know exactly the field. Well, I kind of know the field, right? So I know the resolver because I know that the field's going to be a before and after is meant to be a GUID. I clearly know it because I'm expecting it, right? So I just deserialize. I just deserialize them as that. So rather than doing silly stuff here, right? Um, that back, right? Rather than doing silly stuff in here, I have to do it. I realistically should do it here. So if before is JSON element and uh, and uh, before elements and it's a replacement for that. I don't need to do it this way. I just need to say um, before element. It was a pouring tar or something. Right outside the house. Yes. So now let's see if that works. So there's all sorts of checks there. But right now I know that if I'm getting into user change resolver, that no matter what field I've got here, it's going to have those GUIDs. That's why I'm doing it this way. So I know the structure. Yes, I don't like using knowing that the JSON is right down there, but it's a reality of converting these types, and it's better. It's more specific and more controllable than there you go. So it knows the value types, and there's our changes. We have an enhanced change, so after and before. And it said it published it. So it's not ideal, but I do have to accept that I do know about that stuff, right? Why didn't you publish? Where did you go to? You didn't publish anywhere else. Should remove all them. So yeah, I don't like the idea, but it is what it is, and I do understand what it should be, so I don't have to put a lot of guard code in there. I'm saying it well if I have an assigned user or a created by etc. Um, or whatever user I have, then I can use the user change resolver because I know that that's going to be a GUID. So it just saves me that hassle of writing all that down. What was I going to do then? I was going to go to here and did I call that details? No, detail. So a detailed change event. Events.changes.detail change event in events. Sugar to liquid sky changes.detail. Did it create the outbox message? Is the question. Am I just being impatient? I'm being impatient. So there's our enhanced. Wow, I just terminated data grip. Awesome. Not very enhanced, was it? So let's go here, do that. Let's expand that again. Let's query that. Open in value editor, so you can see all the names are now populated on those things. So JSON format code. Almost drop. Have a good time. Apex, thank you very much. Thank you very much again for the gifted subs. I really do appreciate them, and have a great day. Fun to stream of the weekend. Nice, nice. If you have not seen Apex before, worth checking out. He's using Godot and building a game. He's spent a lot of time building behavior trees and actually writing unit tests in the in Godot, etc. Which is really fascinating to watch. And yeah, he's building a very resilient system. So worth checking out. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. So this is giving me the serialized user from uh, MongoDB. That's the one I'm using. But it is giving me the user details, right? So that's really what I care about. What the rest I don't really care. So we've now got our detailed user. Our source user again is now enriched. This is more controllable. This I probably should figure out how to drop this, right? But now we do have that. So now we just need to validate why it's not producing. Well, this might produce either events. Oh no. System, each parameter in the deserialization constructor on detailed change event must bind to an object property or field in deserialization. Each parameter name must match with a property or field on the object. Is enabled. The match can be case insensitive. Hey, Deflex, how you doing? So the message is in the outbox. So what's wrong with the message? Let's have a look. Did I really call that source user? Did I really call that source user? I did call that source user, didn't I? That's interesting. Let's drop that collection. Let's go back to yeah. Go to consumer group. We're gonna update this to 1 again. It takes a while for it to let go of all the there you go, all the connections and stuff. So that's why that doesn't let you just change that. So that's source user. Process update should now publish source user, not source user. Let's see if we can fix this. So we don't need this to be after. This doesn't need to be anything special. Public class info bullet record period identifier string name. thingy now. See, I'm creating so many versions of that. This is where it's worth me checking at some point. You know, is there, because they all do have separate ownership. They do, you know, I shouldn't be leaking. If I copy a model between components just because it matches the same fields, then if I change one, I change them all, and I don't know the knock-on effect. So it's worth pausing and doing this. But yeah, so that's user info. So what we're going to do there is going to do uh bar before user equals that, like that. Do bar after user equals that, and then this is new user info before user dot identifier, before user dot name, before user dot email, new user info after dot identifier, after user dot name, after user dot email. So we'll be able to if before user or after user no return. So we can test this afterwards, right? That's kind of the goal. Now I've got a kind of handle on what I'm doing. The problem is I'm going to have to test with, oh, I'm going to pass in JSON elements and it's going to do this. It's going to make that a lot messier than I really want it to be. We inserted one, inserted. So we've inserted messages. My kind of hope is here that this is going to be, yeah, it processed them. I think what it was actually that nested ID that was causing a problem there because it didn't know how to treat it, which is potentially an interesting challenge if we get more complicated here. But we should have 3 changes details now. So in the change details, we say, okay, well, we changed the assigned user from Andrew to Helen. Then we changed from Helen to John. And then we changed from John to Andrew. Ta-da! We have our detail changes. Our source user is correct. Good. So now the next part of this is to consume this into the view. And then basically be able to see the changes and say, okay, well, we changed the assigned user and we did this. There's still going to be some sort of translate. There's still going to be some sort of, how do I put it? Transformation. But I think that can be on the client side. I think I can feed that down now to the client. The benefit of having this information means that I can actually link to the user. So you can click on a user and see that, go to that user's changes or whatever we want to navigate. Again, this person did the thing, so we can say Jeffrey changed the assigned user from blah to blah. Morning, Napalm. How you doing? And yeah, that we have a path. So again, this might seem overly complicated. It might seem unnecessarily difficult to do. But once I've got the pattern in place, an ad just went live. I apologize for stick behind the ads. What shipped? Huh? I didn't order anything off Amazon. when you have subscribe and save and forget that you subscribed and saved. So the occurred on, I want to fix that. That should carry the original. There is a difficulty there, isn't there? Actually, the last updated always gets changed. So this last updated actually does give me insight into when the change happened. So if I leave last updated as part of my changes stream, then I will always have a last updated, and it will always tell me when the actual event occurred. Because this is this event. This event occurred on, right? Is that hacky? Not really, because otherwise I basically have to make a deliberate effort to pass forward the original event information. I can still get the original event, but again, that is only the event. The source event ID is the changes event that triggered this event. So that's just to align a change to an output. That's a debugging step, if anything. The date the actual event happened is always in last updated because it's actually when the record was changed. So rather than try and make a deliberate effort to pass that forward into everything, because then I have to make an actual effort in anything that manipulates this or changes this to pass that date forward, I could just use last updated, and last updated is never shown. It's just used in the changes. Fighting a colleague who doesn't like to share information about things he does. He wrote a NuGet package to make it easy to run tasks in Azure Batch. Isn't documented how to utilize it anywhere. It's annoying. Yeah, that's welcome back, Devlogs. I find it very frustrating when development teams can't be teams. Like, what's the benefit in hiding or protecting information? You're not saving your job. You're not making yourself any better by closing off features to others. I should have this everywhere, but why do programs have to be like this? I don't know. Unless someone's particular, yeah, eh, they're out there. There's a lot of them out there, sadly. Like, I get the whole, hey, look at me, look how cool I can be, and I do find it a definite challenge with bonus-driven systems that you've got to stand out individually to be noticed. But yeah, that's frustrating. It's the sort of person I would go and have a word with management about if they wouldn't talk to me. I'd try and resolve it personally with them, or do it in front of management so that they look like a dipstick when they're trying to defend why they won't share information or why they won't document information. Okay. Ugh. That's that. That's that. That's that. Oh, trust me, I've had management involved and they don't seem to want to do anything. He came from MS. He's so special. Uh, Okay. Okay. So tomorrow's stream. No. Yeah, possibly. I forget it's Friday. It feels like Thursday. Um, Possible stream tomorrow, or at least one over the weekend. What I'll be doing is tackling putting the changes into this view, right? So I can't run it right now because it'll just break because there's no backing services. But I click here, there'll be a tab for changes. So that's my first priority, to show the changes. The second priority would be when I go here to be able to navigate down into those changes and see them. I still have to create a detailed view, but we'll create the tab first so we can prove that the changes are there and that we're going to pass them, and then we're going to do the rest. Yeah, that is that. Yeah, that's not going to break. That's going to break because it calls a server. So there we go. Unfortunately, that is as much time as I have for today. Coming up soon, I have in the week of the 19th, I think it is. I have 2 days away from the stream. Potentially 3 days because I get back very late on the Thursday. And then the week after that, I have off work, so we will have some longer streams. We'll go into more. What I want to do is by that week, I want to be processing these changes, displaying the changes, and doing everything there. And that means that I can kind of turn my focus to how do I deploy this thing, and we can actually start to. I'll probably do a bit of that on stream. I need to get some starts there because it's going to be a lot of work. But I want to try and tinker with Pulumi, see if I can get what I can get running there and what that means to do that, and see if we can't deploy this thing to Kubernetes or something like that. And try and learn some of those pieces, so that by the week that I have off work, we can. I recommend TypeScript, by the way. Okay, I'll look at that, Napalm, and then we can try to deploy these things and start to test it, so that by the end of realistically November, JetBrains Space switches off. There's no more project planning in that. So realistically, before November happens, I want to be in a position where I am actually dogfooding my own application, um, a deployed version of it with its own storage and everything like that. So I don't have to keep worrying about development changes. Because if I start trying to use it on stream in the development version, I'm just going to break things, right? So we just have that, and we set up backups and stuff so that we can. So I don't lose anything between migrations, because then we get to learn those things like migrations and stuff. So there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to learn, and yeah. So that being said, I do have to raid out. I'm gonna go eat something before I start work. Uh, Lots of meetings today, unfortunately, for a Friday. I hope to see you later on in OneLine's community day. Or shout out there. Oh, I have to wait 31 minutes. Oh well, my apologies. Um, that's annoying. Twitch. Oh well. Hello everyone, please tell me, is the project that is being streamed now open source? Hi Panda. Unfortunately not. This is not open source because it is so big. There is no um there is no there is no way I'm going to open source this right now, and I do intend to turn this into a product right the second. So there are components of it that are open sourced. You can watch back all 121 streams of me doing this, and I'm happy to talk about it. I'm happy to go into detail and share information on how to do things. And if you do want, if anybody does want any specific content focused on a component or a technology, please join the Discord and ask for that, because I will make a YouTube video on demand. I don't have any long-term goals for making really detailed YouTube tutorials. on any of this, because I feel that I'm kind of learning it as I go in a lot of places. But if you do feel that there's content I could produce that would help you, I'm happy to go off and figure that out. Just join the Discord and let me know. No worries, Panda. No worries. I mean, at this point, it's 74 projects. It is a lot of distributed systems. It has dependencies on Auth0. Open sourcing this just wouldn't be a, yeah, yeah. I've been a developer for 25 years. I've done a lot of different stuff. This is kind of the culmination of years of learning and growth, and a way of taking that learning and growth and going beyond and advancing some of those pieces. So it's very much so that. Yeah, let's so we're gonna raid over to Monospace Mentor. He is doing community day himself. Again, check out One Line stream later on for a community day. And Monospace Mentor does a Q&A. He's a super experienced guy, lots of DevOps experience, lots of systems experience, and a nice chill place to hang out. So I'll take you over there. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, you want to join the Discord and have a chat about, you're more than welcome to. So take care all, have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.